Hi, welcome to Living Independently in MaKenna. This is a program of LIFTT, and LIFTT is one of 4 federally funded programs in Montana, based in Billings, that helps people with disability. And this TV program, although it only airs in Billings through Channel 7, LIFTT actually serves 17 or 18? 18 counties in eastern Montana. And today we have 2 of the staff from the Glendive office that are here. McKenna and Jen have been here before, but I'd like for you to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about what's going on in Glendive. Jen, do you want to start?
Yes, my name is Jen Hawkinson, and I am from the Glendive office. We are super busy over there. People are coming out of the woodwork. We cover 10 and a half counties of the 18. So basically Jordan, Circle, Sidney, and then Forsyth, and everything east is what, southeast is what we cover. But yeah, we're just busy as heck.
Wow.
Yeah.
And McKenna?
I'm MaKenna Andreopoulos, and I'm an independent living specialist in Glendive, and we're, like Jen said, we're just busy. It's amazing.
Now, you've added a couple people to your staff?
Yes, we have.
Since October, I know, I'm so excited. Since October 13th, when I was hired, there was no office originally there, a physical office, and we are now up to 3 full-time and 1 part-time staff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's been such an amazing help.
So, are you getting calls from all over?
We are.
Yes.
We did a kind of a big outreach when I first started, and we hit several counties and just talked to people. Some people have never heard of LIFTT, and they're like, "Where have you been? We don't understand why we don't know about you." So. People are just coming out of the woodwork. Service providers, we've noticed that there's been a big turnover of different service providers. Like, people have changed jobs, so you have a bunch of new people coming in that have never heard of LIFTT. So it's fun to watch the light bulb go on when we talk about what we offer and what's available.
Particularly when you are serving a rural population, unlike Billings that has several TV stations and whatnot,
right.
A lot of the communities that you serve don't have direct access to...
Right. Word of mouth has been huge.
It has been ginormous.
Right.
And we've gotten really lucky with some of the service providers that we've worked with when it was just us 2 pretty much. And now I get referrals constantly. The other day I was literally just scheduling appointments and meetings to meet people and looking through my calendar to make sure I could hit everybody I need to. And it was a little crazy that day, but it was good.
I actually had somebody on the street hit me up the other day. I was in the weirdest spot, and the guy said, "Hey, do you know where I can find some clothing in this town?" And I said, "Yeah, you go around the corner to this shop." And then he just proceeded to tell me his life story, and he had part of his foot amputated. He was close to being homeless. And I'm like, "Come see me. Give me like 45 minutes.
So, Jen, you bring up a good point. We're going to be talking about youth transition.
Yes.
But I think for our audience, a lot of people may not know what an independent living specialist does.
Right.
So tell us a little bit of just the overview of really what your job is.
So we help individuals to live independently as possible, but we also help them find resources. So again, this guy that's close to being homeless, I am actually going to hook him up with some of the landlords in town, give him those numbers, because he doesn't know. He's not from Glendive, so he has no idea what's available. There's a gentleman that we're working with who is from the Glendive community but just needs a little help, and his stepmom has come to help him from California. No idea what resources are available, and she always calls me and says, "Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. where do I go for this? And I'm like, okay, you go here, 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 here. So that is one of our biggest services, is the information and referral.
Right.
So, but we can help with paperwork. I mean, like literally anything to help
An
people
individual.
people live independently. We don't fund. We don't do any of the funding, but we can help to find those funds.
Right. So MaKenna, when I started working with LIFTT, my understanding, and I think a lot of people assume LIFTT is just for people with physical disabilities.
Oh,
you
geez.
just associate it with someone in a wheelchair that needs a ramp to their house.
Right.
That's not the case.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. It can be anything from anxiety and depression. It can be anything mental. I mean, if it has an impact on your life and is stopping you from living independently, that's pretty much what a disability is.
Right. So mental, physical, emotional,
Yes.
all kinds of disabilities.
Yes.
Right.
My example is I have anxiety and depression, and I would be eligible for services if need be. MaKenna, you have endometriosis.
Yep, I suffer from endometriosis, and that's an internal struggle and physical, and I'm constantly in pain, and that's just one of those things where you can see me and not realize how much I'm hurting and how much it actually does affect me.
And it gets in the way.
Oh, it gets in the way big time sometimes, and
Right.
there's days where I'm like, I'm done.
Right.
I just need a break. But it really, honestly, I think the way that we look at disabilities really needs to be refined.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about youth transition. And I think it's, when I was putting this together, I was thinking it's interesting because it's really for the parent and for the child.
Yes.
Not just helping a student, but helping parents help their students. Do you want to talk a little bit about what youth transition is?
Yes. So youth transition is to prepare kids for youth for basically adulthood, teaching them those job skills, how to rent an apartment, how to budget, how to all those things that we as adults just take for granted that kids should just know. How to open a bank account. That's shocking to me.
Sending a letter or paying a bill.
Yes.
That's a big one too, because a lot of the younger generations, we take for granted of what we learned in school, and some of these kids don't know how to even write a letter, stamp an envelope, where it goes, or anything like that. So literally anything we're able to assist them with.
And lots of things are done online, so they just don't have that opportunity
To even learn about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very interesting.
Do you find most of your clients have access to the internet, or do you have some clients that do not?
So if you're talking about youth, they're going to find a way to find that internet.
It's very
I
true.
can tell
very
you that
true.
right now. Some adults don't have access or know how to utilize the internet. I'm working with a guy that's in his late 50s and is like completely clueless how to even navigate the internet. So that's been something we've been working on is, okay, so here's how we're going to do, because like to apply for SNAP and Medicaid, you do the application online. And it's very simple to do online, but if you don't know how to get there and how to do it, it's tough.
It can be confusing at times, and even just getting a login to start the process can be a struggle.
For me, I'm the worst with the internet.
And a lot of those, here's my experience, a lot of those federal government programs have really, really, really long links.
Yes.
To this, and then that, and that, and that.
Yes.
So you may know that there's help available for something, but finding it.
Finding it is a really hard part. It really is. It's a struggle to navigate those federal websites, and that's where we can come in and come help. Let me rephrase that. That's where I come in and help.
I struggle with the internet. I don't know. It doesn't
Technology,
like me.
internet, a little bit of everything.
I'm surprised the cameras are still working, honestly.
Me too, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised.
So, McKenna, tell us, you shared a little bit the last time you were on the program, but
Yes.
again, I think that was 3 or 4 months ago. Tell us a little bit about your experience with LIFTT and how that came about, how you utilized the program.
Oh my goodness. Well, oh man, I don't even know where to start with it. There's so many things have happened that it's so kind of like my time frame it's all kinds of mushed together now because it's just been amazing. But my son does have sensory processing disorder, and just seeing him kind of grow with me in this position has been amazing. He's able to, like today, being here usually would stress him out, because last time when we were here, he had many meltdowns, and it was very difficult for him.
And he's in his early teens.
He's 13 now.
Yeah.
And so he just struggled with me being gone. So this time we kind of took a different approach with Jen's help, actually, on kind of prepping him of this change of me being gone, even if it's just for a night. And it's helped amazingly.
You talked about with him, like, what is he going to do
Yes.
while you're gone this time
Yes.
versus what's going to happen while mom's gone.
Exactly. So I would pretty much just prep him of, well, what are you going to do while I'm gone? Let's make a plan of what you're going to do. And he helped me carry out my bags yesterday, and
I had picked her up at her house, and
Yep.
as we're leaving, I was like, so no meltdowns this time, right, buddy? And he was like, yep. And
Yeah.
you haven't heard a peep.
I have not heard a peep. I'm so proud of him.
So, what I think is interesting is, in terms of youth transition and you're helping him, but you also needed help. Right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
How you need to deal with the
Yes,
situation.
and for me to navigate how his mind works, to make it easier for him, which makes it easier for me as a parent when he's not having all these meltdowns. It really has been just phenomenal to see him grow and learning the difference of tone with him, and the prepping, and I've even just getting him to do cleaning his room is a little tough because it can get overwhelming for him. And so we've been
You
every
have to break
day
it down for him,
Yep.
don't you?
Every day
Into
I'm just
smaller
like,
chunks.
okay, why don't we just do pick up just your socks type thing. So I really do have to kind of break it down a little bit more for him, but it works. And I'm not as stressed as a mom, and I'm not stressing him out. He's not having as many meltdowns because of it, and it's amazing.
I just want to say that most parents think, I've tried everything. I've literally tried everything. And sometimes just having that outside source that recognizes
Yes.
those disabilities to, say, well, because McKenna said to me, I've tried everything. And
Yeah.
we brainstormed about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so why don't you try and talk about what he's going to do while you're gone versus what you're going to do, and break it down into smaller chunks, and don't wait until 2 days before. Prep him a couple weeks beforehand.
And that's exactly what I've done. Is I've as soon as we found out that we were coming back, I was open and honest with him, and honesty with him is such a huge thing, and it always has been with me as well. But it's if I'm just flat out honest, if my endo's getting too much, hey bud, I'm sorry, I'm really hurting today. And the other day I was not doing too well, and he came in and checked on me about every hour. Just wanted to come and see how you're doing and make sure you're okay, or if you need anything. And
He's the sweetest kid.
bless my heart. Oh my gosh, I love him.
Yeah, I imagine it's very hard for parents.
Yes.
Parents with children with disabilities, whether it's a learning disability or physical disability
Or behavioral.
or behavioral.
Yes.
Behavioral's tough.
That is a very, very tough thing. And I didn't even know that my son was having sensory processing issues until we were able to get him tested. And a lot of it is behavioral.
So today we are talking with Jen and McKenna, who manage the Glendive office for LIFTT, and we're talking about youth transition, how to help both parents and students or children deal with their disability. And I think one of the big parts of all of this is school.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And
Advocacy.
how do you go about that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So one of the things that I've learned over the years is parents have a really hard time navigating those IEPs, which is
navigating the
IEPs, which is
Okay.
the individualized educational plan, I believe. I've always just called it IEP.
You can tell
Yeah.
you're in the office.
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
yes. It's,
So,
Say that again.
individual
Individual.
educational plan, IEP.
Okay.
Yes. So so the school does what they can, of course, but sometimes it's the parents just don't know how to go about things. I've helped parents to figure out the process on how to get an IEP or a 504. An IEP is a little more stringent. 504s are not nearly as monitored, but it gives those kids a little bit more definition and a little more help than just not having anything in place. I have helped parents to, like I said, navigate that. We had one parent that was struggling. Her child was having some serious behaviors, and the school was following his IEP, but they hadn't included a behavior plan. So we were able to step in and say, hey, you guys need a behavior plan for this kid.
Yeah.
And it was a Zoom call, and they were talking about all these, different cues and stuff. And I'm like, this kid, you're going to have to use the same cue. You can't use, okay, you need a minute, or go take some time, or you can't do all these different cues. Everybody has to be the same across the board. Mom, school, daycare, whatever. And it's going to make it easier for that kid, because then he hears that cue and goes and does what he needs to do.
yeah.
And they're all probably individualized.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. You're never going to find the same is going to work for everybody. There are some things in life like using the same cue that is really helpful for actually
Yeah.
everybody in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's hard to get people on that same page, honestly.
How have you found working with the schools? I think when I admire teachers so much. They're underpaid, overworked, dealing with what they have to deal with, and then having to deal with a child with disabilities takes a certain learning,
Yes.
takes a certain amount of patience and
Yes.
training. How have you found the schools in eastern Montana?
I don't have a lot of trouble working with them, but I've worked with them in the past, so my reputation kind of precedes me. Like,
Yeah.
they know that I'm not just spewing anything. Like,
You're
I have
not
an idea.
a truant officer.
Yeah, I have an idea of what to do. So you've had to deal with them.
Oh
with your
my
kid.
goodness! And my son does have an IEP, and he struggles in school because he does have that sensory processing. So anything, even if it's a smell, a certain word, anything can kind of trigger it for him, and he will just have a complete meltdown. So I have been working with the schools very closely on trying to figure out the best way to get around those struggles for him. And so we've even done where he is spending more time with, I think it's the counselor, I can't remember who it is, but he spends more time with someone that he's a trusted adult that he can actually trust besides me because I'm not there. Mm-hmm. And that has been amazing because he's been able to create this bond, and we're all kind of working on kind of opening his mind to being able to trust a little bit more, especially with the staff at school. And
Well, and you're teaching him how to advocate for himself
I
as
am,
well.
yeah.
To speak up and say, I need a minute.
I need a minute, or this is too much.
Right.
Anything really. And towards the end of the school year, he really started doing that. And I was almost a little bummed that school was ending because I was like, he's doing so good. I don't want it to end yet.
And that's something, if MaKenna wanted me to come in and help at the school, I'd be more than willing
Absolutely.
to.
Yeah.
So I would think the teachers appreciate knowing that there's actually a plan, a system,
What I tell
something
them,
they can do other than be frustrated.
right?
Yes.
And what I honestly, if everyone is consistent and does the same things, it's not only going to make it easier on the youth, it's going to be easier for the teachers, the parents, everybody involved, because everybody's on the same page. Like I said, it's that cue for that kid to do whatever they need to do at that moment.
Yeah, even if it's just a simple phrase like, go take a minute.
Yes.
That's a big one for my son in the sensory, when he needs, what did
Sensory
you call it?
input.
No, oh crap.
Squeezes?
Yeah. He'll
So
he'll
he
just come
needs-
up to me and he'll be like, Mom, I need sensory. Thanks to this wonderful lady right here.
When he was at the Boys and Girls Club, we figured out that he needed that extra, even though he has sensory processing, he needed that extra input. And I don't understand it, but it's
it works.
amazing. It works. And
It's
you just
amazing.
do arm squeezes. And I just do it while I was talking to him.
Yeah, and it
And
helps.
you can just feel him go,
Calming
Yeah.
down.
Yes. So he'll come up to me when he's getting a little overwhelmed, and we're still working on it of him coming to a trusted adult or even trying to do it on himself to help calm him down. But he'll just walk up and be like, Mom, I need sensory. I'm like, all right, come here. And I can do that even when I'm
I
not
think that
feeling
would work
good.
on me.
It probably.
we actually have,
What
we
it
actually
is
have,
saying, I care, calm down.
Yes.
It's no
yes.
different.
we have a friend that has high anxiety.
Very high
and
anxiety.
the other day I was like, well, let me try some sensory on you. Because you could just see she was just, and I'm like, come here, let me do a little sensory on you. And you could just watch her.
She started to do the arm squeezes, and I'm watching her face, and her face just goes, oh,
It's that simple.
I needed that. And it really is just that simple of needing that extra squeeze and, a little bit
that
more.
extra sensory input.
Yeah.
It's like tapping your foot. Same idea.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I know that you work with is taking students, transitioning them from school into a job
Yes.
Yes.
or a home
Or college.
or college.
Yes.
How
So-
to adult.
How to adult, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
There's a few things that we can do. We can sit down with them and teach them, like, here's how to rent an apartment, here's how to fill out the application.
Here's how to pay a bill.
Here's how to pay. My favorite of all time, of all my stories, is the girl that picked up her bill like this. It was an MDU bill, and said, what do I do with this? And had no idea how to pay it. She had no idea where to get a stamp, no idea
Money
where to get a money order.
Yeah.
I had to explain how to put the bill in the envelope so you could see the address of where it was going to be sent out. But that
Yeah.
was the best thing ever. What do I do with this? Just
Yeah.
disgusted by it.
But
So-
it really, there are so many things that, that are, I don't want to say that aren't being taught in school, but that we really do take
we
for granted on
just
how to
assume.
adult.
Yes.
Yeah.
That people
Yes.
know.
Yeah. We've gotten so comfortable with, like, I know how to write a letter. I know how to, I know how to do all that
Right.
fun stuff. I know how to cook and make some meals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody knows how to do that. So
we went into the school
yeah.
in Glendive, and we had a little class with the classes.
It was pretty much
special
how
education.
to adult.
Yes,
is
how to
what-
adult, how to, and then like the process of how to go through working a job.
Yeah.
Showing up on time and your attitude while you're there is like 90% of your job.
Yep.
I tell my kids, if you go in and go, oh, yeah, I guess I'll do that, your employer is not going to be happy. They want you to be like, yes, I'd be happy to do that. And yeah.
It sounds like such a great program. Have you thought about opening it up to adults? I tell you, there are a lot of adults that don't.
We joke
Manage.
that so youth transitions honestly is one of our core services. But really it could be the same for adults across the board. You literally do stuff for youth that you would be doing for adults, because there are adults out there that just don't know how to get through the door.
Yeah.
Literally,
How to make that first step into moving forward.
Yes.
It could be very daunting for them sometimes.
Absolutely.
If they have so much going on in their world,
Right.
and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I would imagine, being in eastern Montana, you also deal with communities that have very limited services.
Yes.
The sidewalks are not ADA compliant.
Yes.
The schools have all kinds of issues that are not.
Yes. We're
where
working
they
on
should
those.
be.
Yes.
It's a process. But
I
we're
think
working.
I think we're finally starting to get our foot in the door to help with that.
Right.
And it really has just become just amazing to see how many people are like, oh, I need to call them.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It really has been, of just how many people are willing to come to us and be like, yes, I need help.
Didn't we figure out it was like 100 people that we've signed up
Yes.
since October?
Yeah. Since the middle of October.
Middle of October.
Yep. Middle of
until now.
October.
And Jen, I think you made a really interesting point when you said we're not there to give them money
No.
or finance them.
No.
You're there to make the connections that
Yes.
they need to make.
Here's how I explain it to our consumers. When we're doing our initial paperwork, I say, you are the engineer of the train. I'm just along for the ride to help you get there. That's it.
Maybe throw some fuel on
Fuel
the fire.
on the fire a little bit sometimes.
Sometimes,
and,
if need be, but everybody is so individual.
Yes.
And every case that we work on is unique for every single one. You might use some of
We've
the same
talked about
steps.
that too. Like some people you can go, I need you to go do A, B, C, D. And they're like, okay, I'll go do that. And other people you're like, okay, 1A, let's do this together. 1B, let's do this together. Okay, now we can work to 2.
And
But
this-
it's very individual.
And it really is what we do for the adults is what we do for the
Right.
youth as well. So it really is. I mean, youth transitions is just transitions for everybody.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So this program only shows in Billings, but we do make it available on the LIFTT website. But I know that everybody in Billings has a relative in eastern Montana. It's just so.
Eastern
feels
Montana
so
is
true.
one little small community. Even
Right.
though we're all spread out, it's
Yes.
one little teeny community.
So if anybody's watching and have friends, relatives, people that might be living with a disability that could use the expert help of MaKenna and Jen, their Glendive office is open, and I think we have a phone number here. That's the best way to
Yes.
get in touch.
Yes,
Yes.
and even if they're not sure if they could utilize LIFTT, call.
Just ask the question.
Just ask. Yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
they come in and they're like, we want to apply for Social Security. And the more we visit, it's like, oh, yeah, I could use help with that budgeting.
Yeah.
Or, oh, man, I want to buy a house. How do I do that? How do I get my credit built up? And
Yes.
So
Right.
it's such a wide variety of services.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for joining us on Living Independently in Montana.